the director of the Charisma Humanitarian Outreach Mission. There is Nick Marina Hussein joining us here on RT International. Nick, thanks so much for joining us here on the program here. It's just such a heart-wrenching story here, and very strong words, by the way, from the leadership there. I wanted to ask you, where does Operation Heartbeat for Gaza stand right now when it comes to the overall efforts by the Malaysian government to help the struggle of Gazans in what is essentially a blockaded enclave?
Thank you very much for the invitation to this interview. We at Charisma Humanitarian Outreach Mission, KHOM Malaysia, we are an independent non-governmental organization, and we work very closely with the Jordanian authorities. Where we stand in the humanitarian efforts, I would say, is the need and the efforts for us to step up when it comes to humanitarian aid entering Gaza. We need to make sure that the arteries, the humanitarian arteries, are accessible for all, so it has to be opened. And we are trying our hardest, our best, to ensure that the aid donated by the people of Malaysia, especially through KHOM Malaysia, is delivered successfully to the people of Gaza.
Yeah, well, it's an honourable mission, to say the least, and we wish you the best of luck with your continued efforts. Of course, we know that a lot of aid is essentially being blocked from getting into the enclave, but aside from those issues, what kind of help are you sending? Are you sending water, medicine, clothing, and how does it address the immediate needs of those suffering in Gaza?
Oh, yeah, thanks for that question. It's very important for us to understand how NGOs operate in this very, very critical and dire situation. In Malaysia itself, there are many NGOs who are trying their best, as I mentioned, to assist the people of Gaza. For KHOM Malaysia, we have several teams, let's put it divided into two, where we have our internal ground teams, which are where we have our teams from the local teams. And of course, we have our KHOM Malaysia team, where the Malaysian team will handle the logistics, the aid logistics from Jordan to enter Gaza. So the most recent, as you mentioned, this is our fifth operation from the gates of Jordan. But in terms of our interventions, it's been more than 90 interventions ever since the war started on 7th of October. We first sent aid through our ground teams on the 12th of October. So it's been more than 90 interventions, which include the delivery and the distribution of food, clothes, water, clean water through trailers, the digging of water wells, and so on. From the Jordan entry, what we just recently handled was the Operation Heartbeat for Gaza. We just returned, actually, just a few days ago to Malaysia. It focuses on what is the most needed at the moment, which is, of course, food boxes. Because of the situation of starvation, people have died due to forced starvation. We have also successfully, actually just yesterday, our bags of flour, 50 kilograms, 150 bags of flour, was loaded onto the Jordanian Armed Forces trucks, the lorries, and it's en route to Gaza. I'm just waiting for news right now. And also there was baby milk from the most recent mission.
You did use the term forced starvation as you were explaining the very hard work that your humanitarian outreach program is achieving across the enclave. But I know you know the numbers, Nick. Palestinian health officials saying 273 people, including more than 100 children, have just died of hunger. They've starved to death in Gaza since October 2023. I know your humanitarian mission is doing everything it can, but given today's circumstances now, with what, roughly nearly 2 years of war now, it's only getting worse. Is there any chance that you have plans to increase your humanitarian missions to the Gaza enclave?
Well, scaling up is, of course, a must. not just for our organization in KHOM Malaysia, it's a must for the whole world. We have to work to secure more resources with the continued cooperation of the partnerships that we have. So scaling up is definitely a must, because before the war, I think everybody is aware that there were 500 commercial and aid trucks entering Gaza when the need was actually 1,000. So
Right.
now that there is starvation, there should be more actually than 1,000, because it that is impossible for 50 trucks a day for 100. Yesterday, there were 59 trucks from the gates of Jordan. That's from the gates of Jordan, 59. And that does not include what is going on through Rafah, what's going in through Rafah.
Right.
In a day, the maximum, I think, is about 100, 150. And if you're talking about 59 from the gates of Jordan and it's less than 100, how can that compare to what was happening before the 7th of October? Definitely, we all have to scale up.
I mean, it sounds like a drop in the ocean, doesn't it? When you think about it, at least 1,000 trucks are needed every single day. And you're mentioning numbers of maybe a few dozen are being allowed in there. That does reinforce what so many people have called a policy of forced starvation. Nick, it's so good to have you on the program. I know we're talking about a very sensitive subject here, and I know you won't go political with me on this conversation, but the Malaysian Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, using some very strong words, Nick, describing Netanyahu as, quote, truly insane and inhumane. I've got to get your feedback on that. When you look at what's happening in Gaza, how do you assess the comments from the Malaysian Prime Minister? Do you think Prime Minister Ibrahim is right with what he's saying? What would be your position on that?
Well, what I can say is when there are killings of innocent children, civilians, they are not armed, obviously not armed. That is actually definitely something of cruelty and something that no normal human being would do. That's what that's my point of view, my personal point of view.
Yeah.
So in this situation, any kind of killing of an innocent child, civilian, mother, father, elderly is definitely something that we cannot accept. Definitely not.
Yeah, I appreciate you answering that question, Nick, here on international television. I mean, you mentioned just about the young girl, Al-Mufti, who was shot while trying to carry a jug, trying to get water for a jug outside a hospital ward. That was confirmed by the Euromed organization. That child was killed for no reason. And then in the past 24, 36 hours, we've had 5 journalists killed at the Al Nasser hospital, journalists who are freelancing for Reuters, the Associated Press, NBC. It's just astonishing and shocking that this kind of policy against those people in the enclave can still be continued. But Nick, here at RT International, we're very grateful for the hard work that your outreach mission is doing. We commend you for that. We wish you good luck with your continued endeavors. Nick Marina Hussein, chairlady and director of the Charisma Humanitarian Outreach Mission, joining us live on RT. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.